So we had a wonderful performance before this moment, but simply because we had to get going, I will talk with short introduction. So artist talk is going to be held now. We have 9 speakers. All of those 9 people have submitted artworks here. And they can talk about how they created, how they have saved the materials on Earth, because the Troyer's show is to find thrown away pieces in the junk to create your own. They are all done something that you found, trash cans. Remarkable result that you can enjoy. But now let me talk. First, Ellen Otto.
Okay.
Please.
I'm talking first.
Nothing to do, just talk.
Nothing to do. Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. These are my 3 pieces, big, medium, small. And I wanted to just mention 2 things. One is my mom grew up in the Depression, and that food waste was not allowed, one kind of waste. So to this day, I will do everything to not throw out food. In my mind, my fridge has all the due dates on it, and I make sure I use it. That's one. Number 2, being an artist, I don't know if you found this to be true, but many people offer you things and say, maybe you can make something out of this. And so we become the collectors of other people's stuff that they don't want to throw out, but are not sure what to do with. So a few of the items are those pieces that people have given me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Page Purcell, and my work is the 3 pieces on the pedestal. And I'm going to read my artist statement. It took me a while to write it, so if you don't mind. In 2019, my art studio building was renovating several floors, and I found the loading dock trash bins filled with electrical wires, zinc tubing, cardboard tubing, 2x4 wooden boards, lots of unused nuts and bolts, and other discarded. And the new word for me is detritus. Detritus. Anyway, it's a beautiful word. To provide a context in a 3-dimensional structure in hopes of finding a way to make each part fit together to create a harmonious and cohesive object. That's what turned out. And the big tubes are the fabric tubes that the industry in my building made home furnishings. So those were in the trash. And then the zinc tubing, I learned how to saw it, and I cut it and put those things together. It looks not difficult, but I had to figure out how to connect each piece together. And that took me ages. And like I said, I did these in 1920. I mean, no, sorry, I wasn't alive then. Close, but not. 2019. And it was quite an experiment. And this series is precious to me because I really had to think hard about how to put it together and assemble it. And I didn't do drawings, I just played with pieces. I'm a stone carver originally, so taking away material has always been the way I would operate. This is adding on, or taking away if you don't like it. But it was quite a challenge, and I thank Yuko for having the opportunity to bring these out into the light, because they have not seen other people before, just me. So it's really a gift to have them out. And part of what I like is that when we allow our artwork to be in the world, not where we are, it develops its own life, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. So they are beginning their life because they're here. I do always go and pick up things on the street. Most of my studio, from tables to chairs to anything that goes on the wall, making cabinets, I found on the street. So I walk around with a cart, and I really do, as we called it in Italy, where I did stone carving, bin diving. I'm a bin diver from the word go. Anyway, it's enjoyable. It's one of my little pastimes. So I'm grateful to have an opportunity to show you what came out of the trash. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Arango. Thank you for everybody coming here. And thank you, Yuko. Yeah, it's my work is these three pieces, the spheres and metal wall, where the metal frame, these two pieces are with the mattress frame. And the spheres is with the recycled glass that we have party, and instead I take the bottles to the studio and give you light. I always like to, when I started, I went to do my work welding at the art student league, where I started working with the recycled material. The other students throw things out into the bucket, and I pick it up and give you light to my work. So now I love to work with recycled material. I like to always find different material. What else? Yeah, just always experimenting. I think the recycled material give you help something to the environment, just a little bit. Thank you.
Sure. Hey, I'm Carol Brenner. I was bowled over when I saw this exhibition. I've been showing it Yuko's gallery, the Watt Center, for many, many years, a few decades already. And I'm generally a glass artist, but I do work in mixed media sometimes. What is so amazing to me, the minute I walked in and saw the show, is that this is all throwaways. It's all recycled materials. But looking at the quality of the work in the show is really, really astonishing, because none of it looks like junk. It really, really, I don't know how she does it. I come here every year, and I'm always bowled over, but this is a particularly impressive show based on the nature of what the show is. That these are other people's throwaways, or perhaps our own throwaways. I have three pieces in the show. They're sort of on the wall in the back. There's three square pieces. The pieces tackle the issue of forest fires, coral without colors, and global warming is not a bipartisan issue. I don't normally do work with this theme, because again, I'm a glass artist, it's a different kind of thing. But I really did enjoy the challenge of this topic, because it is such a timely topic. We are all bombarded with the reality that there is a problem on the earth. You know, there is a problem with climate change, there is a problem with all the things that we're constantly hearing about. And many of us grew up not even thinking about, you know, a lot of waste and so forth, and now we have to be more conscious of it. And frankly, I have to also own this. I'm not an angel, I'm guilty. I use plastic. When I buy takeout from a deli, I'll use a plastic fork. I think we all do, unless you're really as extreme zealot, and no, I'm not. But we have to definitely be more conscious of it. These three pieces that you see on the wall were from a series I did called Hot Planet. They tackled other things like vanishing elephants and things of that nature. My series was to educate the viewers about the dangers of climate change, present the urgency of climate change in a visual manner that's more unobstructed for the layman than reading complex scientific data. Most of us don't really understand that data. Or, at times, we're even getting a lot of misinformation about that. A lot. But that's the times we live in. I wanted to incorporate recycled art materials into the production of the artwork in keeping with the spirit of the topic that is being addressed. So I thought it's only fitting, since the series is called Hot Planet, to use recycled things. I wanted to encourage dialogue and or activism on the subject. And I wanted to show work that highlights a universally important issue for all people. This is the whole planet. We all live on this planet. And it's particularly during a time of great division, even about this particular issue. Even on this issue, there's great division. So those were my goals, and I think it's great that you're presenting this show, because it does bring awareness to it. And it gives, we're always hearing, the final thing I'll say about this is we're always hearing what the scientists say. We're always hearing what the scientists say about climate change and recycling and all these things. We have a special skill. We artists have a special skill. We communicate something through the art that doesn't sound like dry scientific data. The works in this room are so beautiful, and so you're drawn to them, and that's a good thing. Thank you.
I'm Carol Diamond, and my pieces are on the two pedestals right here, 3 pieces in a row. And thank you, Yuko, and it's great to be here, and really everything that you all have been saying before me is just touching off so many ideas about artists are resourceful. I kind of take it for granted in a way when one of you said, oh, other people's things that they would throw away, and we see life in them. Because they're still beautiful objects that have been made. I use a lot of bottles and cans from the street, and I picked up a beautiful little, I was going to bring it up here, a blue piece of glass from the street. It's like a magical find when I see that on the street. So we have a vision, I think, for beauty in places that others might not see it. And so that's one thing, like the resourcefulness and the imagination to think of transforming a material that's been found, it's been thrown away, and just really see it as an artistic material. I did a lot of assemblage pieces earlier where you could really see the piece itself, where it came from, and how it was juxtaposed in a spatial configuration. And then it got to a point with these more recent ones where it's really an artistic material, like paint, like steel, it's metal, it's glass, it's art, it's an art material. But I think with all of these pieces, especially all of us who are abstract artists, we're making abstract form. For me, it's not about environmentalism, it's not about sustainability, it's about feeling and form and spatial color and all the emotion that makes me be an artist to begin with. But since it's abstract, there's always that reference to the source of the product. So if you're making a painting, you always want to see that there's paint there, as well as the image of what's being created. So we have this, wonderful discovery process when we look at each other's work and our own, how much we want to hide that source, how much we want to display it. So it's kind of a discovery for the viewer to just see it as art first, and then, oh, look at what that is, and look at where that came from. And then we all have associations, you know, a bicycle magnet, or, you know, a reflector. When I have things that have the graphic design elements, the red Coke can, the blue Red Bull, you know, insignias. These are beautiful parts of graphic design, beautiful parts of the industrialized world that, you know, just because they're broken doesn't mean, you know, they can't be utilized. So I just find it a fascinating arena. Someone who came here to the show said, you know, why don't you just show with other sculptors, which of course I would love to show with. I'm newish to sculpture to begin with. But I really do feel there's a purpose in using the stuff that we use. That it's not cheeky, it's a real, you know, kind of I thought of the farm to table concept, you know, nowadays in cooking, you know, in restaurants, farm to table. For us, it's like trash bin to gallery, or street to studio. You know, it really is showing the full process of discovering the materials all the way through to the transformed image. Thank you.
My name is Christopher Craig, and I take pride in the fact that my artwork looks like junk. I grew up in a very poor art family in New Jersey in the middle of the woods. And about this time of day, me and my older brother would break in and steal into the garbage dumps that were in the middle of the woods. And like about 15 mountains full of garbage, no food garbage, but just trash. And that was our entertainment, what we could steal out of there and pretend we were pirates looking for gold, and found some great treasures. So the worst thing for me to do was to move to New York City, which is the land of junk. Higher class junk, of course, not for the riffraff. And then I married my Japanese artist wife, who also shows here. And we lived in a loft in Soho, up one flight of stairs. And she worked in the front of the loft, and by me walking up the creaky wood stairs, she could tell if I was carrying something that I found on the street. And without opening the door, would just yell, "Put it back!" To which always my response was, "Someday I'm gonna use this. And somehow I can't throw out a Pepsi sign on the street." You know? And of course, he's, you know, being a woman was always right. But, yeah, you guys got it great. So, I also work in construction, or I did work in construction, so I'm always opening up old walls from old buildings in New York, finding skeletons chained to chairs behind brick walls, not kidding. Some of the things I find would be under bathtubs, children's toys down drains. So I guess I kind of had an advantage over everybody else, because I had a collection of junk already.
Where did your pieces?
Oh, I forget. This isn't cordless, right? I can't go over there. It's unfair. The bird cage that's over there. On the shelf, right? On the pedestal. With the beer can, which I found under a bathtub with the can opener, because plumbers would drink beers and then throw the cans and then put the bathtub in. It was tradition.
They stopped making that kind of can like in the 80s.
That can is 1964, okay? This is classic. Shh. Tell anybody. People start ripping out bathtubs. So, I had a Godzilla, the Japanese Godzilla toy. So I cut off the head, the arms, the legs, and the tail, and I attached them to the beer can inside. And it became a Beerzilla cage fight with all the other diswanted toys that I found down drains here, there, and everywhere. So, and then the wood pieces were actually in my basement over our apartment building, which are from the 20s, which would hold gas meters. So there's actually the apartment numbers stenciled on to each one of them. And they became like nice little shelves for all the other pieces I had. There's a jewelry scale for weighing very small amounts of gold.
I'm sorry.
So I have little beads that in the 50s, when you were born, there were little beads they would tie around your arm for your name so they wouldn't lose you. So I found those, so I actually put those on the scale with I guess it's a chess piece of a witch in front of it, and in the scale is all the little pieces from the alphabet, but in the scale is one side is love, one side is hate. And the love side weighs a lot more, so it's pressed down. So it's called the balance of love and hate. And then strangely enough, the bells hanging from it on both pieces were hanging from trees in the woods that someone had put and abandoned maybe 20 or 30 years ago. And the doll's head was off a Japanese doll where the body was broken. It's paper mache, so I used that. And of course, the abalone shells my wife ate. And instead of throwing them out, I used them in the piece. So, for me, it's I was just excited to hear about the show because as soon as I heard about it, you know, it's hard when a show comes around and you just go, oh, okay, 4 pieces? All right, well, I have this piece here, and I have this piece here I haven't used, and I got another piece over here I can just throw in. Everyone had this pretty much start from the beginning, so, but once I heard about it, it only took a little while for my brain to start revving up, and then all these 3 pieces just by the next day just went together. So I was excited about it, so I hope people actually enjoy it. I'm glad to recycle things back into something. And they're very reasonably priced, too. We do have certain habits we like to continue, like eating and having a roof over our heads. So we like to sell our art. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emma, and my pieces are over on this wall. It's the circle, and then the ones on either side, 3. Down to the nitty gritty, I love trash. I think I'm actually going to tell a little story. The first time I was in a show here, it was the artwork during the lockdown period, and Yuko kindly accepted one of my paintings, and I brought it in, and she calls me up, and she's like, Emma, why is it on plywood? Why is it not on canvas? And I said, Yuko, why would I buy canvas? We live in 2024. There's so much stuff already out there. And I think just using found materials is a subtle critique on the post-industrial, cyber-societal, capitalistic, globalized world we live in, where everyone's trying to push you to buy new. And yeah, a big part of my artistic practice is just diving into the subconscious association on questioning why we value what we value. And that comes out in many forms, visual arts. Maybe it's just screaming one day in the studio. But yeah, it's been an honor to be showing work here and in this show, and having a place for that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily.
I'd like to mention to you, before this show, we had all the materials that one finds from the nature. artists use materials from the nature. So we had to begin with clay, clay and textile. Next show was paper and wood. The third one is metal and plastic. As you know, plastic is unbreakable. If you throw it into the ocean, you know what it happened. Plastic does not break into pieces, so it floats and then goes all over. As a result, fish or animals, they think it is something to eat. They swallowed and they died. But plastic, the beginning, 1920s, was called new materials. They don't call it plastic. What's the name now? I forgot. Bakelite. Bakelite is the very beginning. So that was the beginning of plastic. But then it changed to plastic. And today, everybody is concerned about not to use plastic. And scientists improve the material so that we don't damage the Mother Nature. And then we are going to have glass and then glitters. Some people use glitters, shiny one, and so glass is also shiny. And so we usually create two-dimensional pieces and then three-dimensional under one title, just like wood and paper. Paper art can be put on the wall, two-dimensional. Wood usually happen to be three-dimensional, so that we can take advantage on the wall and then on the pedestal. That's what is happening. So, as Emma said, she brought heavy plywood, 3/4-inch plywood. And so we couldn't even lift it, so huge. So why? I could not, but many others who are much bigger than me, they could easily carry. So she was already ahead of time, trying to save something she found in the garbage. So I really thank you very much, everybody. It was wonderful shows, and just you cannot imagine what creative mind can do. All of them, just like Elizabeth herself. If you can, this one is sitting, brown one in the middle, and two. You can think in large pieces sitting in the plaza, like sculpture. Can you imagine? And then those three pieces, you can also see they are obviously found in nature. But it's abstract, and you can imagine what kind of forms they could present. So whatever you see, another person, I don't want to talk everything, but Christopher said right. Christopher is a collector of toys, and I can see three pieces there, all toys. He hasn't grown up from the childhood mentality. So even though he has a grown-up son, he is still childlike. Artists are wonderful to be able to childlike, not the childish, but childlike. Don't you think so? We have to have that kind of spontaneity or tolerance, creativity, free spirit. So that's what our artists do.
Yeah.
So welcome to the center. So we create so many different musicians. You're enjoying it. Okay, next one.
Can I just
Yes.
interrupt 1 second?
Okay.
Being childish. Just in defense of plastic, in a sense,
During the lockdown,
You
there were
you have to sit.
Hello? During the lockdown, everyone wanted to play guitar. And millions and millions of guitars on back order. Of course, everyone basically played for about a week or two, then it just becomes something sitting in the living room. Guitars come from trees. How many millions and millions of trees continue, and it's not stopping. The demand is always up and up every single year for guitars, and they're trying to find different ways of using materials out of trees that are more plentiful. It's not working, but a lot of guitarists are demanding the guitar makers come up with something new. A lot of the new guitars are made of plastic and carbon fiber. This is the future. They won't biodegrade like a guitar will, but we're not cutting down plastic Christmas trees to make them. So eventually the future, every guitar will be made out of plastic or synthetic fiber. So it does have this place in this world by saving all those trees at one point if everyone accepts it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next one is a lady stage. Okay.
Okay, I'll try again. I'm Lily. My pieces are the 3 light sculptures over there that are made out of plaster and trash. I could go on for a really long time, but I love trash, and then I share that. Trash is one of my best friends. I think my relationship with trash as art started as a little kid. I would get put on timeout and isolated in a room full of nothing, but I was actually surrounded by my friends, because my friends were trash. And you couldn't take that away from me, right? I'm just playing with the recycling. So I would start to bind things together, and if you have one medium that you can use to kind of clandestinely tie together other things, then nobody can tell you that your friend's not made out of gold if you spray painted gold. I continued that, and I never stopped playing with trash. And I think that there is like you were saying, like there's a really big place in art for playfulness and for childlikeness and for curiosity. And when I walk down the streets of New York, I look around for friends, and sometimes I'll see one. Something that I became obsessed with like 2 years ago were squashes and pumpkins, and everybody just all of a sudden started buying them and putting them out on the corner, and I had to really steel myself and wait and write them little notes and say, hey, I really like your pumpkin. Can I have it when you're done? And most of them said yes, and so then I would go and I would cast the pumpkin, and but my pumpkin friend needed legs, and it was cold outside by that point, so I wasn't gonna go buy anything. So I just had to look around and find some crap and give it legs. And so that's kind of what I do, and I hope that looking at the art that I make not only invites you to think about trash as something that could be like a friendly, literal invitation into your home, but something that looks clean and beautiful, and unexpected and whimsical.
I just want to get one of them. I want to get one of them.
Oh yeah. Go get it.
Hi, I'm Zach, and mine are it's like a sort of small, so I just wanted to bring it. And these are things from the street, and I see things while I'm walking or biking and pick them up. I get these rings a lot, and then I use for the molds, like to pour this is concrete or cement. I find things on the street or in the trash, like food containers, and pour that into this is one of these like poppers that are for children. They're little rubber things. And I found a couple on the street, and they're cool to pour resin or cement into. And I used to make collage, and then somebody was living in my building, and they gave me a bunch of resin, and I was just kind of using it to set things in. And then I kind of just, set it flat at first, and did lots of just sort of kind of very flat ones, and then kind of started making more three-dimensional. And then I was using more cement instead of resin because it's like 10 times cheaper, and it's also kind of really nice looking. And I like the color a lot, and it just does different things. And I like a lot of the things that I do have like parts that can shift around, and they spin, or they just they go in maybe rings that just balance in different ways, and I think it's a nice. I just like that idea, and in terms of like those questions about whether my parents were frugal or they like saving things. My parents were, I think, kind of average in like frugality, but my dad liked to go to the dump a lot and like find things there. And then and he'd always be like, wow, look at this, and he liked to refurbish them and find like a door there and bring it back and fix it and put it on our door. And then he's an artist, and he made a lot of art from things from the dump too. And during COVID, I was in Maine with him, and we went to like the shooting range, and he asked if we could go through their dumpster, and so me and him were in their dumpster getting shotgun shells, and he made this sculpture out of them. The shotgun shells are like blue and red, and he made this flag, and he worked on it for like a long time, and it's very like big and elaborate, and he's showing it in Houston now. But I got a lot of interest from old and kind of discarded things from him. I don't like think of it as like ecologically, really, like this isn't, not buying something from the hardware store isn't really gonna like make much of a difference, but it's like I think it's a dislike of capitalist, new thing, buy thing, and I just really, and for some reason I like the look of rust too. And some people have told me, oh, why don't you buy the thing, put it in like salt water, rust it yourself. Yeah. I feel like it needs to be from the street. I don't know, it's a weird thing, you know? I've left things out just to tone more, like outside and then watch them get change in tone and stuff, and it's fun. Cement and concrete look different if you leave them outside for a long time. And I think that's it. I wanted to ask you said cast. Are these cast from like like
So,
pumpkin or something?
Yeah, like those two are two different pumpkins stacked on top of each other, and what I do is I take medical waste, like gauze bandages that are no longer sterile, because the medical industrial complex is like a whole nother sack of shit, and it's just like gnarly. But you can dip you can lube up your pumpkin, and then like with Vaseline, and then dip it in, because you gotta release the mold, you know, and then dip it in the plaster, and then sort of lay it on, and you will get a release. But then the other things, like I found that waxed cardboard, like from a milk carton, is pre-lubed in a nice way, although it does benefit from some Vaseline. And so I will do sort of like a reverse cast, where I'm casting on top of and then removing the interior. So, because I want to put light bulbs inside. But that's just like my.
Is that what a milk carton?
Yeah, and then the other one's a hot water bottle.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yep, which I grew up with and still use to this day. And the great part about most of these objects is when you pass them like that, you can use them again and again. So when I first started with the hot water bottle, I did not get it right the first time. Because the first time, I couldn't get the thing out. And the second time, I cracked it. And then the third time, I think I got it. And you keep going. And sometimes, yeah, it works better than others. Yeah.
I'd like to mention, so the world is very dark at this moment for a while. And we experienced the lockdown period. Ever since, things changed. We human beings used to communicate through language. Visual language is another thing. That's what we experience here. Audible language, that's music we heard today. So language is the communication system that we always share. And so the life is dark, or world is dark at this moment. So it's nice to see, let us lighten up. That's what she did. We need to have something positive because we have experienced very dark period. And so next show we are going to have Joy to the World. So we are going to have Christmas, New Year's. It's a celebration time. And so this is also part of it because we have to live longer for the next generation. We have to save materials. We tend to throw away everything. You can practically live by finding what you found on the street. So let's save the world for the next generation to come. And that's a wonderful concept. That's what I'm emphasizing for this show. Many people couldn't make it, unfortunately. But it's wonderful to have 9 people here. Thank you very much. And Erin Alto, her piece is over here hanging on the 3 of them. They are all from automobile parts. She explained to you. You can point out.
I point to them.
Yes.
Car muffler. All different kind of parts and computer parts with resin.
Because I have to explain sometimes, during last few weeks, there lots of people came, and some of them were adults, but children came during the Thanksgiving holidays, and they're visiting their sons and daughters in this Williamsburg. And so their cousins, about 10 of them came when I was here alone. So they don't know what to expect. What's going on, Daddy? What is this? Because they are brought by their parents to go to zoos, they go to museums, so they are very sophisticated kids, even though 4, 5, 6 years old. But they never saw anything like this. And so, Daddy, what is happening? Even adults didn't know what's going on here. And so I have to tell them, please read the poster there. And it says something about this show. So they read, and then first they're inquisitive, but they go back to the artworks, they said, wow. So that's what those art is all about. And you see, we go and see the artworks in the museum, but once they know what artists' minds, what are they doing, they go to look at, they start talking to them, they do engage with the work. That's what I enjoyed very much because first when they came in, they got lost. What kind of show? You can see their faces, same inquisitive faces. So first I observed them, then I said, please read what this show is all about. So I have experience with children. Children are very honest of everything. So I said, what do you like this show? Well, there is a Santa there. They like the Santa. Why is the Santa so tiny? And the other one is a big head, yellow. Well, artists can do anything. You don't have to make, parents say, you don't have to make Santa big. Oh no, I will go to Rockefeller Center to see big trees and Santas are there. You cannot imagine what kind of conversation I went through. So, I can find God, something like that in God. I better save my Santa, or I better think about it. Kids are so smart. It's just amazing. You know, they tell you the truth, and then, so what do you like? She was wearing pink overcoat. I like pink piece right there. So, can you imagine? So I was taking photographs, so I took one. Oh, that's great. Can you send me? Yes, I will. So I took down parents' email addresses. So children are very honest about what they think. Take, for instance, those trees. She went to the woods and created something like insect. You see, those three pieces. So all of those pieces, and one piece, there are three pieces. She was a Brazilian artist, but she left Brazil because the economy got to be so bad. She was an architect. So when she came to this country, she found so many magazines thrown away. So she started collecting magazines, and then she folded and then beads. You can see she made 3 pieces sculpture, as well as they are all papers, and then weaving, and then making, rolling. And another Chinese artist is a very black one, black pieces, and he is a technically capable person. If you stand up in front of the camera, all black pieces start moving. Unfortunately, it's a mechanical problem that we cannot show how things move. It's almost like octopus flipping all over. So it was a fun piece. Anyhow, everybody, thank you very much. Wonderful. Thank you very much for coming.
Want to take a picture for?
We are going to take photographs, so please, would you like to stand up? All right.
Oh, yes.